Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gibbo the Shaman, and today we are discussing how to communicate with aliens, or I should rephrase that, how to communicate with with ETs. Lots of people think that, use the term aliens, and that is a whole different thing than ETs. You should know that and be aware of that, because I wouldn't want to communicate with an alien. But I do communicate with ETs. Those are two different things. Um, so ETs, light beings, these are all different terms to describe the same thing. These are people, just like you and me, in a higher dimension. And if you want to know what dimensions are, go look at Carl Sagan's explaining the fourth dimension. Even though the fourth dimension is time, the fifth dimension is something else. So when we say we live in a 3D reality, oh, I can't wait to escape this 3D reality, right? So when we say that, we're actually the truth is we're living in a 4D reality. And why is that? Because you have the 3D, the 3D would be the object, right? So you have forward, backward, left and right, up and down. That's the 3D object. That's the box, right? The square box. So let's say your spirit has incarnated into this 3D being, which is known as your identity. So how that 3D being gets along in this 3D world is he travels through time. Now, time and space are basically the same things, so you can't have time without space. You can't have space without time. Unless everything was just frozen in time. Just frozen altogether. Okay, so the 3D being travels in a 4D space in time. So we think of time as linear, where, we're experiencing one moment at a time, you know. And so, but what 5D is 5D can now travel back and forth on that timeline and interact with those 3D objects as they were in that 4D timeline. Okay? So it's like looking down at a piece of paper. You can interact with it, you can move things around, you can all that stuff. So alright, so let's talk about how you communicate with ETs. Now, with the understanding that ETs are higher dimensional beings and they also sometimes, so there's two states that they could be with you in. So a lot of times, since ETs don't want to get hurt by the dark forces of Earth, they will just come here astrally. They will just astral project to you and interact with you. This is how you can feel their energy. This is how, all that stuff. They also use something called, or they can also come, like physically come into your space. And because they're higher dimensional beings, you won't see them like a 3D physical being like you can see me. So they'll just be like you'll just feel like there's a presence there. Now, so that's, how you can feel that you're interacting with an ET. Now, how you can talk to them is just through telepathy. So, in fact, Carl Sagan describes this brilliantly and beautifully in that episode where he is describing the fourth dimension, or I forget which dimension. Just look up Google or YouTube Carl Sagan dimensions, and then you'll see, like, or you can look up Carl Sagan flatland, and that'll pop up. And so he describes this communication brilliantly with, like, how the ETs come into your presence. You can feel them. So instead of, when you communicate with an ET, it's going to internally sound like your voice. So if I have a piece of paper on here and this is flatland, and I have a little circle here, a little blue circle, and that blue circle has a spirit or a consciousness within it, then I can say, hello, being, hello, two-dimensional being, hello, two-dimensional being, and then what'll happen is it goes right into him, into the center of him, and it vibrates out. So it's almost like he'll hear it from within him, and it sounds like his voice. So this is what's been happening to me, is I talk to ETs, and it'll sound like, oh man, I'm just making shit up. Okay, this is so ridiculous, I'm just making things up. Like, for example, I had one experience where the vision of, like, a priest came into my mind. It wasn't like a verbal thing, it was just, here, let me show you something. And so when I was meditating, I was seeing this older guy, gray hair, who was a priest in Atlantis, a priest in Egypt, and he had this white robe on with, like, gold gold patterns on it. So that's what I saw. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure what this means. Am I just making crap up? But then I got a channeling session from my teacher. You can go look at his channel up. He's at Michael Denney, Denney, and he's on YouTube. And you can look up channel. Here's his website, channel.thunderwizard.com, to get a channeling session with him. He's an amazing guy. He's really come a long way in channeling and in communicating with ETs and things like that. So yeah, so he's really great at that stuff. So if you want a channeling session from him, go check him out. So then how did I get this confirmation? So I was shown this vision of being a priest, right? Or I didn't even see myself as that priest. I just saw the priest. I was like, I don't know what this means. I knew it wasn't like a Catholic priest because they don't wear white robes. They wear black with the white thing, the white square. And so, I was a bit confused. And anyway, so that experience was later confused, or later confirmed by my teacher, which is known as Michael Denney, or Thunder Wizard. or Mahadeva. So, um, so anyway, when he was channeling for me, he said, yeah, you were a priest in a past life. You were a priest in, before the flood in Egypt and and I, I was apparently one of the or the high priest, the head priest in that time. And I was one of the counselors of King Surid. So you can actually go look up King Surid, Surid, and the tales about him. Now, how do we know that this is true? So, well, my teacher was told that he was he was once the king of Earth. And he's like, huh? What the hell? How can somebody be the king of Earth? That's just too big and too grandiose and all that. And, and he started looking it up, and then he saw, oh yeah, there was a king named King Surid who actually built the Great Pyramid of Giza. And and he went and he consulted with his high priest, and oddly enough, the high priest's name lines up exactly with who I was. I don't know, that could or could not be true, but like I'm just saying, it lines up, it makes sense. And so, you know, um so anyway, the high priest name is Philemon or Philemon or whatever. And so if you look up what that name means, that means loving and affectionate. And during the channeling session, what the ETs told me was that I was a priest, that I was a high priest of the heart center, that I made that incarnation because I was a focal point of the heart. So I am literally uh, Vishnu. So my soul is very much connected with Vishnu in probably the 9th or 12th dimension or something like that. And so that's why I put so much emphasis on Vishnu, connecting with him. In fact, that's why I have this necklace here. Pull it up. It's like way down. Yeah, there it is. But it has Vishnu on it. If you can see that. I don't know if you can, but oh well. It's not important. So yeah. So I was told that I am my identity is the high priest of the heart center. Like a projector of the heart center. So anytime that I work with somebody, even in this life, I am whether they know it or not, I am projecting my heart around them, filling their aura with loving energy. And this is something that's, whether I know it or they know it, this is what's happening if they choose to work with me. So, and in fact, I was thinking about doing some shamanic soul retrievals, even though your soul doesn't go anywhere. It's not like it leaves your body. It's just the body's not in tune with the soul. So, like, with through trauma, through hurt, through all kinds of things. So maybe that's something that I'll add to my repertoire, to my offerings. But yeah, anyway, so off subject. So anyway, So yeah, I was told that I was this high priest of the heart center. Anyway, this lined up with my vision. You know, I was like seeing this priest with this white and gold and all this. And um and so I was like, wow, okay. You know, this little thing that I thought I was making up, you know, I thought I was making it up, but apparently it's real. And so I just want to say, what, you know, if you're contacting ATs, like it's going to be very challenging at first to discern between what's your voice and what's theirs. So for me, in fact, I'm trying to learn how to do this even more to a greater capability, which is to have like open up to what I'm being told. So, for example, you know, I will go ahead and meditate, and then my mind will drift off, and I'll think of something totally random, and then, you know, or I've had other times where I'm like, huh, am I making this crap up? And no, it turns out to be real. And so the way that you can, um, like for example, I had a vision of I was sitting at the table, probably like, you know, just like people do, drinking their coffee, reading their morning newspaper, and just, you know, doing just like mundane kind of stuff, just sitting there. And then I see this little girl in this vision running into the kitchen or the dining room or whatever, running into the dining room, and she, you know, she's playing with energy. I can see her like playing with energy. They're just like singing, dancing, clapping, all the stuff that little girls like to do, right? And so, you know, I'm like, huh, it's interesting that, you know, I I I just don't I'm like a, you know, I'm very like I don't have any kids of my own, so why would a kid be popping up into my dream or my it was actually a vision. So, you know, um and so I asked her, "Hey little girl, where, you know, where's your parents?" And then she's like, "Well, you're my daddy, silly. You're my daddy." And so I'm like, "Huh? What? What? That doesn't make any sense. How did I how do I have a, you know, a daughter in 5D?" You know, it was just like so crazy and ridiculous, and I'm like, yeah, right. That's some crap that I'm making up. But no, it was actually true, and that's confirmed by my, you know, because if it was a just a something that I made up, then that would be, you know, they would kind of tell me um in my channeling sessions with my teacher. So what ended up happening is they said that, oh yeah, she's your home. She's your home. And you know, so I was like, I don't know what that means, but you know, okay. So that, you know, that validated my thing. And it also, these things are not like just pointless, just like, oh yeah, this is what that means. Okay, great, I'll do that. So what it really means is these are beings that are trying to communicate with you through whatever pathways you're more open to. So, for example, I'm not I noticed that I don't do well with like verbal stuff because I could just like make words up and feel like I'm like pretending or making things up. But visions, I feel like, yeah, you know, that yeah, that seems to be lining up for me. Like what I feel like I do much better with visions than I do anything else. It's just oops. It's so, there's what I'm getting at is there's multiple ways of these beings communicating with you. And at first, it might take a while to get used to, acclimate to, and all that. Um, and I can't encourage you guys enough when you guys are doing your interdimensional meditations and you have experiences, you see things, you hear things, you think about things, write those things down in a journal. Because as a beginner, that's so helpful because it kind of helps you to put things together. If you're confused, if you're like, I don't know, I'm making that up, like actually seek, in those meditations, seek clarity, seek confirmation, seek, like, to, for them to make things clear to you, So that's what I would do. And also another key thing to all of this is just the energy feeling of communicating with them. For example, my wife in 5D, and I thought I was, making this stuff up. In fact, you can go look at my teacher's channel and, you know, one of the last questions that I asked him in the last reading that we did together, or channeling that we did together, was, is my relationship with this particular ET, like that of a love interest, or is it, am I making things up totally and completely? am, I, am I just making crap up? Or is this real? I needed that confirmation. So, um, it's, it's, it ended up happening that, that, so basically, she told me that in that channeling that I intuitively knew who she was to me. And so, since I had been getting these incredibly loving, feelings, like every time that she showed up, she would like put a bunch of love into me. I would feel it. I would, you know, I would have my own, experience that's private. and so when she put this loving energy into me, I was like, oh wow, that's an energetic component to all of this. So it's not just like, that you'll be making crap up and you won't have any, and you won't feel any energy in it. What you'll do is you'll notice over time, and this takes time, and this takes practice, and this takes patience. You'll notice over time what they're trying to tell you. So, those those messages that have some energy behind them, or you can feel some energy, those are the ones to tune into and pay more attention to and lean into, dive deeper into, like see if you can get more out of those things. So, it's really important that you do that. Like, when they're trying to send you the bat signal by sending you a bunch of energy that you can feel, then you gotta in turn respond to that, and you got to kind of expand yourself to handling this. And another thing that I've found helpful is just to, whenever the light beings offer you something, you know oh, you know would you like to be the one who saves planet Earth from and brings them into 5D? The answer to those things should always be yes. Because it's not that they're like, it's more that they're telling you what you're doing. And it's less about it's like this, hey, would you like this? Okay, well, good, you are that. So it's, one time my my teacher was asked, hey, would you like to be the king of Earth? In his channeling session. He's like, what? I don't know, let me think about it. I don't or I think it was joining some special council because of something that he did in meditation. They asked him to join a special council, and he was like, what? I don't know, what is that? Like, would you like to be the council of the would you like to get in on the ground floor of the of the council of light and creativity in forming new galaxies and new universes? Something crazy and wild like that. It's like, and he's just like, I don't even know what the hell that means, but sure. So he's learned, and I've learned as well. You don't ever say no to a light being. So if they ask to talk, you can say, okay, let's do that later. I'm like at work right now. If they, you can always say later, but I wouldn't encourage you to say no to anything. Because what they're doing at a base level, what they're trying to do is to level you up. So they might give you a little bit of an energy boost, or a title, a role, or a place, uh, like a position. But you know that's all meant to boost you up, to raise your frequency and help you with that. But also, if you say no to that, they're like, okay, we can find somebody else. Like, that's, it's your loss, basically. So even if you're confused, even if you're like, well, I don't know what the hell that means. And you can ask them questions like, okay, what does that really mean? But I would never say no to an ET. Not that they're gonna like lash out and hurt you, but like it's for your own benefit. Um, and this is the other thing. Always, I don't know how to form this. Always take things at face value, or how always don't don't get too literal. So if they're one time they told my they told my spiritual counselor, hey man, you're gonna be flying around the universe like Superman. You're gonna be, flying, and you're gonna be changing Earth and sending energy out of your chest and out of your third eye and melting things and shaping things, reforming the Earth and all this stuff. And he was like, "What the hell? I don't even know what that means." And so they were talking about what he does in the interdimensional meditations. He thought that was going to be a literal thing. Oh God, I'm gonna go fly in space. And so he thought that was a literal thing. But no, it's more like their main concern is just, you know, it's you see what like taking things literally is probably a mistranslation of what they mean. I mean, because they're in another world. They don't have any, what goes on in this world is just meaningless to them. Like, or I shouldn't say it's meaningless. It's just like, okay, that's the illusion. That's the fake world. Yeah, that's the illusion. That's the fake world. This right here is the real world, according that's their 5D world is the real world, but our 3D world is the fake world. So anyway, so when they tell you something, crazy, grandiose like that, and you're going, oh my god, freaking out about it, they probably mean that you're going to be doing things in meditation out of your 3D body. Not that your 3D body is going to go fly like Superman. So, and this is one of the things that gave my teacher frozen shoulder for 2 weeks, or I think it was like 2 3 weeks. That dude, I mean, this was early in the game. This is early in contact with ETs, like when he was just first making contact. And I thought it was crazy, so and that's fine. You can think I'm crazy. I I believe that I'm losing my mind in a good way. So, um, but so what happened when he started contacting ETs? They started telling him how big and how, wonderful and how like powerful and grandiose he is. And he started freaking out. He was like, you're gonna be the king of the earth? What? Or you are the king of the earth? Is like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what that means. Like, what, It's like, what in the world does that even mean? So, anyhow, um, so yeah, it's just like stuff's crazy. So he interpreted that as a literal thing. Like, okay, how am I going to be the king of the world? Like, okay, am I going to be gonna have to run for office? Am I gonna have to, whatever, this or that? No, it was literally literally a past life that he had where he literally was the king of the world. And in 5D, he's the king of the world. Okay? So he's the king of the new 5D Earth. And, it's not like a thing of a thing of like royalty, kiss his ring, you gotta, bow down and worship and all that. No, it's like a servant leadership position, servant leader. He is basically expanding his aura, protecting and loving the earth, making sure that that everything is protected and loved, and that it is a safe place, that no outside people come in from the 2D Earth. That's 2D or 3D Earth. This is gonna be the 5D Earth. And yes, there will be some changes. There will be some splitting of the earth. So this is going to be an energetic and vibrational splitting of the earth. Not physical. Although, so if you are in harmony and resonance with the 5D earth, you're just going to wake up one day and you'll be there. It'll be like things changed so much. It'll be like things rapidly changed. Almost like you could make sense of the changes. But again, this is the Mandela effect. You can go look up that. The reason that we have the Mandela effect is, again, yes, people misremember. Yes, people forget and then think that it was something different. Our memories are not, flawless. There's certainly an aspect to that is just people misremembering things and all that. So anyway, but the more that of these Mandela effects that you see, the more that you know you're shifting. Okay. So for example, in 2011, we used to be in the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way galaxy. I remember this in school, many decades ago. But this was commonly known in astronomy, which was Earth was basically at the outside of the Milky Way galaxy. So we were like here. We were here. The center of the galaxy was here. So we were, there was this whole galaxy around. We were like at the edge, at the outside. But then in 2012, the Mayan calendar turned out to be true, and we ended up shifting to the middle of the galaxy, the Orion arm of the middle of the Orion arm. So we were at the Sagittarius arm. Now we're at the Orion arm. And all of our astronomy has stayed the same. So all of the constellations around us, the planets, the constellations, the solar system, the Kuiper belt and all that, I think all that, just kind of came and shifted with us. So it's very strange. All the things that are going on. But, in fact, there's a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson stating where Earth is in the Milky Way galaxy. He says, "Yeah, we're at the far end of the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way galaxy." So, and now we're in the middle of the Orion arm. How that happened, I have no clue. But let's just say the Mayan prophecy is more, I'm leaning into believing more of that than I have before. So it's not the end of the world. It was the world was shifting. In fact, it quite literally was the end of the world, because the Earth is no longer there. The Earth is no longer at the Sagittarius arm. It's in the Orion arm. So literally the world already ended, and we're living in a very fluid kind of state right now. Anyway, I don't know. But this whole shift was supposed to happen, the 5D shift was supposed to happen in 2012. Or thereabouts. But what ended up happening was just people weren't ready. In fact, I think that, anyway, I'm getting off subject. I could go on for hours about that, but I mean, alright, so, let's see here. So, communication with ETs, right? So, as I said, don't take things too literally. Like, if they tell you something grandiose, don't, like, think that, oh god, you're gonna be, king of the world or floating in the skies or whatever. And also, like, so this emotional, like, like, I forget what the word is, like, contradiction, or, like, he's having two thoughts, two emotions at the same time. He's, like, wanting to go into this 3D world, but then also he's scared about dying. He's scared about being, he's scared about disappearing. Oh yeah, this is one of the other things that they told him. They said, you're going to, uh, you're going to disappear. Everyone will think that you had died. Things like that. And he's like, oh my god, like, what the? So he's having all this emotional conflict, right? Like, these battling emotions. He loves the energy of the 5D beings, but also he's scared of dying. He's scared of losing himself. He's scared of, like, it's all the stuff. And so, yeah, I would be too. If they told me that crap, yeah, I would have the same, oh my god, I'm gonna die? What the world? Even though I'm very at peace with death now. Which, it's like, okay, wonderful. If I die, then I'll be right there with my wife and my child and, my family and loving, kind beings. This is all that's gonna happen after death. It's gonna be wonderful. So, not that I want to, but, that's just what's going to happen. So, yeah, and then, again, like, when you have experience, when you feel or experience energy in your body, when you're talking to these beings, like, for example, a lot of times my heart center will erupt with, like, a feeling of, like, love coming from the heart center, or even just pressure on the heart center. The electromagnetic field of these beings makes it feel like your heart is, like chest pain, like heart pain. But really, it's just the beings, doing their own thing. In fact, if you want to know the truth, when I was doing Qigong, I was experiencing these beings, but not consciously. And so every time that they would show up, Qigong is a very powerful method to summon ETs, especially the Qigong that I teach, and that Michael Denney teaches. So every time that I, would do Qigong, I would experience, like, heart pain, and I was thinking, oh my god, am I gonna die or something? Because it would be, like, really strong, really severe, and So anyway, that led me to going to the doctor, and then he's like, "Oh man, a bunch of things are wrong with you. Holy crap!" And so then I got on some some medications, and now my life is better, a lot better, like tenfold better. Not just because of meditation, because of just everything that I've been doing. I mean, I'm so proud of myself now. Like, I've been working out. I have a some gym equipment from a long time ago, like a total gym. I have like a power rack at my house that I'm just building now and setting up, waiting. It comes in 2 boxes, so I'm waiting for the new shipment, and I'll be setting that up. Got a bench press thing. Got a sauna, which I've been using like crazy. It's been really nice. Um, but yeah, like, just the little things that the ETs do for you, like, it just sets you on a path. It makes you want to be a better person, like improve your life and do things that are beneficial for you, healthy for you. So, you know. Um Also, um let's see here. So, for example, like every time that my wife shows up, and I don't know exactly if it's in her astral form or if she's, physically present with me, but every time she does, like, I just feel this immense, like, one time when we were, you know, together, um my aura just expanded beyond anything I thought possible. It was just like so big. You know how you get like full, like you take that extra bite of food that you don't think you should, and you get like stuffed. Um, that it's kind of like that feeling, but like within the aura, like, oh my gosh, this aura is about to erupt. It's like so full of loving energy, and so it's just like so full of loving energy, and that happens every time that I'm with her. So even though I thought, oh man, I'm making this stuff up about about this one light being chick liking me, and and having a crush on me and all this stuff, and then we got to talking, and then I was like, no, that's actually true. And I now believe that I've been, with her. She's kind of been my Shakti, my wife, for many, many lifetimes now. So it's not like a new thing. It's just my 3D avatar kind of asked her to be my wife, and she agreed because we were together before that. So anyway, um yeah, it's very interesting. Normally my go-to is, oh man, I'm making crap up again. This is not real. But every time that I every time that I interact with a light being, or every time that I go out into a interdimensional meditation, it's just like boom, that energy is just there. It's just flowing with beautiful emotion, beautiful energy. And another thing, guys, is that this 5D, like 5D beings have very intense emotions. Like, their emotions that are at a greater capacity than most humans. So I'm one of those beings that's very sensitive emotionally. And it's not because of um Like, most people would say, okay, well, if you're sensitive emotionally, that means you have a lot of victim mentality, right? Stop picking on me. Why are you picking on this and that? It's like, no, but that's not it for me. It's just how I am. I am the projector of the heart center. There's nobody like me in the universe. My guides are extremely sensitive, extremely gentle and kind and sensitive. So, that means that I need that. I need gentleness and sensitivity in my communications with others. So, yeah. And so even though I'm like, I don't know. I don't fully understand that or get that yet. Maybe I will. But apparently I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, or in my past lives. I've gone through plenty of in this life, but this one seems kind of like a easy mode, but but in my past lives apparently there was a lot of trauma there. So in fact it's bringing up some emotions. So yeah, what was I saying? These ET beings are very... their emotions are more powerful than ours. Their emotions are more intense than ours. So even just 1% of loving, healing energy from my wife just really just expands me, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't take much more. And so, it's just like, just one tiny 1% of their energy will make you go, what? Freak you out. And so, it's just like, so this is what we need to adapt to. And I think that doing the energy work, doing the meditations and energy work, qigong and yoga and all this stuff really, really will help us to become more in tune with that emotion, with that, with our ET friends, and more able to handle their emotions. They're like, again, they're not going to do anything that will ever hurt you, or anything like that. They might tell you something that you might not like, like, oh, you're gonna disappear, or everyone's gonna think you died or something. But no. But usually it's just them expressing how much they love you, them expressing how huge of a deity you are, how much of a god you are, And so, yeah, I was just thinking about that name, because apparently my soul has a lot to do with Vishnu. I could say I am Vishnu, just like people chant Shiva Hum. I am Shiva, Shiva Hum. I could say I am Vishnu. And I had one person in particular get very upset with me when I told them that, guess what? I am God. And so are you. I said, I'm God. We are having a philosophical discussion, and I said, I'm God. And they got very upset with that, because 100 years ago that would be blasphemy. You know, that would be very much blasphemy. And then I said, so are you? And then he's like, no, no, I'm not. Neither are you. And so he's like trying to play it off. So, anyway. But the truth is, we are all deities, and it is our third dimensional identity that wants to keep us as victims. As, oh god, like, that I can't do this is, you know, blah blah blah. It's just our attachment to our limitation, our attachment to our helplessness and powerlessness. It's our learned helplessness, you know, being a human. Oh god, I have to pay bills, I have to make rent, I gotta feed the kids, I gotta, you know, put food on the table, I gotta, you know, pay my car. It's that kind of thinking that draws you into the illusion even more. The more that you're thinking about money, the more that you're thinking about, you know, success. Oh god, I have to, you know, get a, you know, a supermodel girlfriend or nobody's going to respect me. Things like that, or just the things that we think we need. Like, for example, well, if I just had $1 million, I'd be okay. You know, it doesn't work like that. I told one of my clients that money's not real, and she flipped out. Which is okay. I mean, that's the normal human reaction is, you know, it's like when you tell somebody money's not real and they depend on their income to, you know, pay their rent and all this stuff. Um, yeah, I can see how that that illusion is so strong. It's so powerful, that illusion of money. In fact, in one court case, there was somebody was suing the IRS or something like that, and they even said that money is a convenient fiction. Out of their own words, money is a convenient fiction. That's you can Google that phrase. And so it's just like, what are we doing? Money doesn't exist. How can the how can the U.S. government owe $36 trillion? It's like, can you even imagine what $1 trillion would look like? I can't. I cannot. You know, it's just like, what even is that? So, you know, it's yeah, it's something else. So, anyhow, um so without so look, guys, I I'm still trying to trying to accept this in my own life, like that money is not real. Um, what is real is things like resources, food, time, energy, you know, human connection, things like this. But, you know, it's so, you know, I just spent like $1,000 on gym equipment and stuff. I spent $2,000 on courses. I've spent plenty of money that I I could have used other places, you know, but I chose to put it into my spiritual growth. Uh, no. So, like, yeah, it's just like, so the thing about money is when you're operating from your soul, when you're doing the things that make you happy, when you are pursuing the things that you want to do, that make you happy, that all this stuff. Like, you know, just go for it. Like, I mean, the thing about money is I've seen people do incredible things with no money. It's like they, starting YouTube channels, they go, we're just gonna go take this beat up, sailboat, 30-foot sailboat across international waters that so they work on it, they put it together, they, like get a beater that, has a good hull on it, they put some resources into it, they, fix it up, they, all that stuff, they make it seaworthy, and then they go. So even though they're like, oh God, I can't do that on a budget. I can't go travel to Asia on a budget. Can't go travel to the Med on a budget with a sailboat. They're like, okay, well, we'll make it happen. So even with the tiniest amount and the will to do something, the something that makes you happy, like it's just going to further, like, you'll find ways of making money along the way. So don't wait, don't wait and, try to, oh God, I gotta save up, I gotta make money, I gotta work overtime, long hours, and this and that. It's just, those things are distractions. So whatever you're into, whatever inspires you, whatever gives you joy, go after that. And if there's something that you don't know that, you don't know what gives you joy yet, then you need to figure that out. And there's a meditation on my website to do that. It's called the midday meditation. So over on Patreon, you can go check that out. All right. So again, guys, I'm offering some coaching. So if you are new to this stuff, if you don't know what to do with 5D and stuff, you can join my 5D coaching program, and we will, there's a lot of things that keep us from ascending, like our unconscious fears, our unconscious worries and things like that, the fears, worries, uncomfortability. So some people need counseling for this, or some 5D coaching. So again, I'm a spiritual coach, and yeah, I can, so I have plenty of things available on my Patreon. You can go there, check it out, patreon.com/Gebo the Shaman. And yeah, we will see you next time. All right. And what else? Yeah, that's it. See ya. Go check out the links down below in the description. And we'll see you next time.